She doesn't even go here! Welcome to Teacup For One. My name is Matt and I have 2 degrees, and boy oh boy, what a time to be a Mean Girls fan, am I right? First, we get an unofficial sequel in the way of all things, Walmart Black Friday ads.
Get in, sweetie, we're going deal shopping.
Might I just say, they are absolutely perfect for what they are. And I know that Rachel McAdams isn't in them solely because she didn't want to be, but I think it's kind of perfect that Regina George is like not a part of Cady, Gretchen, and Karen's adult lives. Because you know what? Maybe this is a hot take, maybe it's a regular temperature take that a lot of people have, but I always felt like Gretchen and Karen weren't that mean. Regina was toxic and made them the worst versions of themselves. And so what do we do with toxic friendships? We cut them out of our lives. So it makes me really happy to see that in the fictional canonized world. Canonized? Are they saints? In the fictional canonized world of Mean Girls, Cady, Gretchen, and what's her face? Amanda Seyfried and Karen were just able to have good, healthy relationships as adults with everyone that they went to high school with. But you know what? We're not here to talk about the Mean Girls Walmart ads. We're here to talk about the trailer for the remake, reimagining, reboot, movie musical version of Mean Girls. You know what? I don't even know what it is. And after seeing this trailer, I'm kind of scared that the movie doesn't know what it is either, but we're here to talk about all of that today. And you might be wondering, Matt, how are you qualified to talk about this? Because I'm not mean, and I'm not a girl. Correct, on at least one of those points, bitch. But Mean Girls is actually a movie that's very important to me. I'm the perfect age for it. It came out when I was in grade 11. I personally think it's a perfect satire of what it was like to go to high school in the early 2000s. And on top of that, most of Mean Girls was shot where I went to high school. Like, not literally at my high school, but the mall scenes were shot at Sherway Mall. Like, that's 5 minutes away from where I'm recording this right now. I had lunch there last week. And actually, one of the girls who played one of the junior plastics, she went to my high school. I think she was like in grade 9 when I was in grade 11 when Mean Girls came out. So, curious what her high school experience was like. Anyway, that doesn't matter. Mean Girls means a lot to me. And I think it's a movie that would be very difficult to remake. Because I think the legacy of Mean Girls sits on the shoulders of its cast. Mean Girls has to be one of the greatest ensemble comedies, not even comedies, one of the greatest ensemble films of all time. And without them, I'm not sure that the story or the characters are anything special just on paper. Like, the cast is what brought it to life. Now, don't get me wrong, I am aware that it is a Broadway musical and that this film is an adaptation of that stage show, and I think it's great material. I think it's A+ material for a stage adaptation, specifically as a stage show that can be licensed to high school students to perform, because I think that there are characters that everyone at that age can relate to. Plus, it's a majority female cast, and when you're like doing a show with high school students, the reality is that there are more girls coming out for roles than guys. So to have so many quality, varied / diverse female roles in a musical for high school kids to perform, I think that's incredible. I realize now that I'm actually kind of putting my foot in my mouth. I could put my whole foot in my mouth. Wanna see? No. Because, yeah, evidently the characters do have enough longevity that they can exist and be appreciated by people outside of the sphere of the original movie. So yeah, I think the musical is a great thing, but as a movie to remake, I think that's where it gets tricky. And it makes me wonder, aside from money, what purpose is there to remake Mean Girls as a film? The only thing I can think is to examine how these high school relationships would hold up in today's society, especially with social media and cyberbullying. Now, don't get me wrong, that stuff kind of existed when original Mean Girls came out in 2004, but like nowhere near as prevalent as it is today. So I think that's the main in for updating Mean Girls for a modern audience. I don't know, I don't think I'm that old. Let's watch the trailer, I'll tell you what I think then.
Oh, hell no!
Yeah, right there. What the bleepin' bleep is that? This isn't your mother's Mean Girls. I know that the millennials have already been all over this on TikTok and on the Instagram, and now it's my turn to chime in. What the bleep is that supposed to mean? This isn't your mother's Mean Girls? Like, I know the movie is almost 20 years old, but again, I was like, what, 17? I was in grade 11 when this movie came out. I am the core demographic. I'm the person that this movie was made for. And I'm like not literally me. They didn't just make it for Matt. They probably made it for like the girls that I went to high school with. But my age range, late 80s, early 90s. And do you presume to think that we have kids that are going to be seeing this movie? Now, I don't have kids, but I have a lot of friends who have kids who are my age. All of those children fall between the age bracket of like 3 and 9. Is this movie being made for bleeping 3 to 9-year-olds? I do not think so. I mean, like, just get over yourself, Mean Girls remake, reboot, reimagining, whatever the bleep you think you are, and just admit that you are a too-soon remake that is here to age shame us. Just had to get over that. Let's keep watching.
Move.
Hey, PG-13, please.
Woo! All right. Tina Fey and Tim Meadows are both back, reprising their roles from the original movie. And I love that. But I also think it's fascinating because I rewatched Mean Girls literally this morning in advance of doing this video. And I found Miss Norbury so much more relatable, probably because now I'm in my like early to mid 30s, and I found her struggles of going through real life difficulties of just having your life flipped upside down, and then at the same time having to deal with the meandering nothing problems of teenagers. I found that struggle so oddly relatable, and I love Miss Norbury, so I'm interested to see how that character changes with Tina Fey now being almost 20 years older. I mean, not to say that a person in their 50s isn't going to have problems of their own, but if Miss Norbury is going through the same things in the remake that she went through in the original, things are shifted a little bit, because it's very different, I feel, for somebody to be going through a divorce in their 50s versus in their 30s. Like, if Miss Norbury is having to get a new place to live, and if she's divorcing her husband at this age, there's a fairly good chance that she's been with the husband longer. She might even be a mom. She might have kids. She might have teenagers. That totally changes her dynamic with her students versus when she was like a newly single person in her 30s. I don't know, I'm curious to see how that plays out, and I hope that they lean into it instead of just like, here's Tina Fey reprising her role. I mean, either of those would be great, because we love Tina Fey. And we love Tim Meadows. We love a cameo. Let's keep watching.
What was that?
Oh Lord, it's the Queen Bee.
Regina George.
Don't look her in the eye!
Woo! Okay. There's a lot to digest from what we just saw. We saw most of the main characters for the first time on screen, but there is one thing that I want to point out. The bleepin' cheese fries. Why? Okay, the cheese fries. This, to me, is a perfect example of why certain things shouldn't be remade. Because that tray of cheese fries is getting more screen time than Cady, our main character. It's getting more screen time than all of the characters thus far. And why are the cheese fries on screen for so long? Because it's a throwback to one line that has, over the past 19 years, become a cult favorite.
Whatever. I'm getting cheese fries.
Rachel McAdams, the delivery made it iconic, and cheese fries are now forever tied to Mean Girls, except the fact that the trailer is putting so much time and energy into that shot of the cheese fries, it's clear to me that somebody involved with this movie, either the producing team or the directing team, I'm hoping it's more a producing thing, they're banking on us leaning into our nostalgic love of the Mean Girls, well, franchise, it's a franchise now, as opposed to letting it be its own thing. That's maybe I'm reading too much into the cheese fries, but I gave a lot of attention to the cheese fries, and I didn't like that. At least in part because it really made me want cheese fries. Oh, also, we saw most of the main characters, but they weren't the star of those past 10 seconds. The flippin' cheese fries were. Let's keep watching.
You could be really hot if you change, like, everything.
I met a guy in the summer and I left him in the spring.
Welcome to Health and Human Sexuality.
We'll be getting into abstinence.
Of course, then followed by...
Is that Don Draper? Yeah, it's Don Draper. I barely watched Mad Men. From my perspective, Jon Hamm just went from being this person that I had never heard of to this person who played really off-the-wall cameo roles. Like, good for you. Good for you, Jon Hamm. I feel bad for whoever played the coach in the original, that he also didn't get to reprise his role in this movie, but Jon Hamm's there. Okay, again, we saw a lot in those last 10 seconds. We saw some Regina George, we saw the coach, and you know who we're not seeing enough of? I'm going to bring it back to this. Cady. Cady is meant to be the main character of Mean Girls, and now we are already like 30 seconds into this 2-minute trailer. We are 25% of the way into the trailer, and in terms of the story, I couldn't really tell you who this movie is about or what it's about, aside from some high school chaos. Whereas if you go back and watch the trailer for the original Mean Girls, it is very clearly Cady's story communicated, because Mean Girls is about Cady. It's a fish out of water story about this person who all of a sudden is being dropped into like the heat of the high school experience. Cliques, peer pressure, all the crap that comes with that. And with that comes that incredible cast of supporting characters that has made Mean Girls so iconic, like Gretchen, Janis, Karen, the teachers, the parents. But again, I'm going to bring it back to this. I think people forget that the grounding force of Mean Girls is Cady's character, and part of the reason original Mean Girls is so good is because Lindsay Lohan is so good. She's perfectly cast as Cady. And like, I'm not here to draw comparisons. I don't want to be that person who's saying, oh, well, if it's not as original person did it, it's not going to be as good. That's not where my issue is, and I don't have any concerns or complaints about people who have played Cady since Lindsay Lohan. Kind of where my grievance is that the storytellers seem to have leaned into how popular those side characters are at the detriment of remembering that it is Cady's story. And again, I'm very unqualified to make this assessment because I have not seen the stage musical, but everything that I have seen has pushed all of those incredible side characters into my face. Like, you love the Plastics, here they are. You love Damian, you love Janis, here they are. You love Mrs. George, here she is. And I don't know, if we don't have a good Cady, and not just the performer, if the piece isn't structured to respect that it is Cady's story, I don't think it's going to work. Let's keep watching.
Of course, then followed by in the spring, condoms and choking.
You're learning things now that I don't know how to teach.
Are you okay in there? We're concerned you're either doing drugs or having a toilet baby.
All right, now, this is a moment that gives me hope for this movie. Jaquel Spivey as Damian, that is hitting the nail on the head for what I kind of hope this entire remake is. I think he's perfectly capturing the spirit of Damian, while at the same time being a totally unique interpretation. Like, in no way is he imitating what we got in the 2004 film, but he still feels so quintessentially Damian. I can't describe it any better than that. And also, the main reason I want to see this movie, Auli'i Cravalho as Janis. Now, she's barely in the trailer, and like, she was pretty well silent in this moment that we just watched. But even just the hilarity in that subtle moment where she's like, toilet baby? That was great. But we know her as Moana. She's proven herself to be this insanely talented singer and actor. And Janis, like I said, has the 2 best songs in the entirety of this musical / movie. So even if the rest of the movie is a disappointment, hearing her sing Revenge Party and I'd Rather Be Me is going to be worth my time and the price of admission 100%. So, go Moana! Let's keep watching.
We as women have to be able to support each other.
Get in, loser.
Welcome, Cady.
You're never gonna believe what I found this morning. Your burn book.
Mom, go make snacks. For sure.
Alright, so let's talk about Renee Rapp as Regina George, because once again, I'm out of touch. I don't know what like the popular girls are like in Gen Z high schooler culture nowadays, but I do know that this is a very different take on Regina. Classic Regina, she seemed untouchable. She had power and status because she carried herself like someone who didn't have to work. That's why the first shot of her in the 2004 film is so good, because she's literally being carried through gym class. And the brilliant thing about Rachel McAdams' performance is that Regina is a manipulative genius with an A+ poker face. Renee Rapp's Regina, on the other hand, seems like a total bad butt. She was introduced to us wearing full leather. On the movie poster, like, Mean Girls is written in rings. Like, she looks like a fighter, like a UFC or an MMA. Is that what they're called? Fighter? They have rings, don't they? To make it more aggressive when they punch. Anyway, that's the vibe that she's giving us on the Mean Girls poster. And, like, honestly, she doesn't seem untouchable. She seems like somebody I would be scared would beat me up, but could also go to prom or formal or the spring fling looking like a beauty queen. I mean, she's kind of like Michelle Pfeiffer in Grease too. but she doesn't need a cool rider. She is the cool rider. So anyway, yeah, she's hashtag not my Regina, but that is perfect because that's what I want from this whole movie. I want it to just totally embrace the characters and breathe new life into them because there's no benefit to rehashing what already worked perfectly the first time. Let's keep watching.
Do you like gum?
Sure.
Oh, no, I don't have any.
All right, so, one thing I forgot to mention in the previous clip, the burn book. There's something really trippy about seeing a burn book that is almost identical to the burn book in the original film, because this is taking place in a totally new universe, but the burn book seems to be the one constant. It's like, in the Mean Girls multiverse, the burn book is the Necronomicon. But, like, let's put that aside. Look, it's Cady. They're finally letting Cady talk in this trailer for this movie that is literally her movie. Let's get past that. The first thing that struck me is how similar she is to Jenna Fisher from The Office, who's playing her mom. Like, I just think this moment is adorable. Like, oh no, I don't have any. It's great. My one my one hesitation is that I think she's playing the nice girl very well. What made Lohan so good, and sorry to draw comparisons, but what made Lohan so good as Cady was that she was able to play both the nice girl as well as the legit mean girl perfectly. And I think that's the key to making Mean Girls work. Cady does need to have an edge. Like, for me to follow her journey, I want to see her actually descend and become a legitimately horrible person, at least for a little bit of the film, and then come back from that. As opposed to being a girl who's always nice, but is just kind of making bad choices. I think what makes Mean Girls so good is that, yeah, Cady legit is a dick and does some pretty terrible things, and that's what makes the redemption story in the last act of the film so satisfying. I'm hoping that this Cady can deliver something similar. Let's keep watching.
You're a mess.
We will help you, Cady.
Why are you dressed so scary?
It's Halloween.
Cady, if you don't dress slutty, that is slut-shaming us.
I love that line. That line, as far as I know, is not in the original movie, and I'm not sure if it's in the musical or not. I think it's hilarious. It's so backwards, it makes no sense, and yet in the world of Mean Girls, and especially in the world of Gretchen Wieners, it makes perfect sense. Now, this is our first time actually seeing Bebe Wood as Gretchen. There's not much to go off of. I think she's fine. Now, unlike Damian, for example, or Renee Rapp as Regina, I'm not necessarily seeing what Bebe is giving us in terms of breathing new life into Gretchen. It seems, I don't want to say like a pale imitation, and I'm not going to say that. Actually, you know what? It's one line. It's not fair to judge or assess this performance, but we love Gretchen. Gretchen's the best Mean Girl, in my humble opinion. So, good job, Bebe. Let's keep watching.
What? What's this?
We're gonna make her pay.
All we've done is make Regina hotter and revive the wet look.
Okay, so this is definitely a moment that's not in the original film. I mean, in the original movie, a big part of Janis, Damian, and Cady's plan to take down Regina is like tricking her into gaining weight because she's perpetually trying to lose 3 pounds. So they give her those fake diet bars, she puts on a ton of weight, and I'm wondering if they replace that with them trying to sabotage her at what looked like homecoming by giving her a Carrie moment and dousing her in water, and not pig's blood, thankfully. So anyway, yeah, I'm just curious to see how that plays out, and I'm wondering if they're opting to go with the wet look instead of using body shaming as a key plot point. And truthfully, I think I would be a fan of that. Like, we don't need to body shame in order to sabotage somebody. You can take somebody down emotionally without hating on them for their looks. Am I a bad person? No. Let's keep watching.
Dance break.
Who wrote all this junk?
Oh yeah, this movie's a musical. I think that's been a big point of discourse with this trailer, at least what I've seen online. A lot of people are saying that it feels like this trailer is trying to hide the fact that this movie is a musical. And in some ways I agree, but in other ways I absolutely don't agree. Because you see shots like that is clearly choreography. And like with the air things, blowing Regina's hair all over the place, these are very heightened moments visually that could only be from musical theater numbers. Now granted, they're not showing us any of the main characters singing. So I guess in that respect, they are kind of hiding the fact that it is a musical. And I'm fairly certain the song that's playing in the background is not from the musical, but yeah, I would have really liked to have heard them sing in this trailer. But maybe we'll get to hear them sing in trailer number 2. And if not, we're only like 2 months away from the movie coming out. So just give me Auli'i singing I'd Rather Be Me. That's all I want. Let's keep watching.
Cady pushed her.
Regina really should be lifting through her glutes.
Haha, there we go. So there it is. Again, the thing I'm so excited about to see how Mean Girls translates to like a 2020s audience is just seeing what role social media and like viral videos plays in the unfolding of the story. It actually makes me wonder why we need a physical burn book in this adaptation of Mean Girls, because I do feel like in today's society, there wouldn't be a physical book. It would probably be like a group text and then sharing screenshots from the group text with everyone in the school. So why do we need a physical book? Aside from maybe just the novelty of the fact that the burn book is so iconic when related to the original movie. Actually, that's why. I don't know for a fact, but that's probably entirely why we still have a burn book in this adaptation. I mean, the trailer opened by showing us cheese fries. They are definitely, at least in part, prying on nostalgia. Let's keep going.
Look at this thing.
I can't even see it.
Like a face breast.
We have to watch. That might be my favorite part of the trailer. We have to watch it again.
I can't even see it.
Like a face breast.
Like a face breast. Karen did not speak at all in this trailer, but that was all I needed to know that that's like no notes. No notes. That's a perfect Karen. That's a... Amanda Seyfried would be proud. Well, I can't speak for Amanda Seyfried. I'm not her. I don't know her. But Amanda Seyfried should be proud.
Je m'appelle Cady.
Incorrect.
You have to pick a French name.
Chanel.
No.
Celine Dion.
No.
Beyonce.
And that's just a nice little Easter egg for people who know the Broadway show, or at least know that Ashley Park was in the Broadway show. If you didn't know, Ashley Park, who's playing seemingly the French teacher, she originated the role of Gretchen on Broadway. I'm fairly certain she was nominated for a Tony Award. We love Ashley Park. Ashley Park was my top choice to play Galinda/Glinda in the Wicked movie. Then we got Ariana Grande. But can you imagine how good she would have been as Glinda? I just want to see her as Glinda. But take what I can get. I'll settle for her playing a French teacher in the Mean Girls movie musical. So there it is. That's the trailer. I wasn't impressed with the trailer the first time I saw it. I have seen a lot of TikToks, especially TikToks with people breaking down why the outfits are kind of a disgrace to the legacy of Mean Girls. I'm in no way qualified to speak to that. I think the wardrobe that I've seen, it seems fine. It's different, but it doesn't make me angry. I think what makes me angry is just how this trailer was cut together and what the marketing is for this movie. Because it does seem like the individual pieces are great. I didn't see any performances that I'm not a fan of. Overall, it does seem like the actors have been allowed to veer away from the 2004 performances just to kind of find their own versions of their respective roles, which is the only way you can really proceed when you're doing a reimagining reboot of something as popular and as iconic as Mean Girls. So, all in all, I don't like the trailer. I think I might like the movie. And if nothing else, we'll get a professional recording of Auli'i singing Revenge Party. And that, to me, is worth the entire multi-million-dollar budget of this movie. Anyway, friends, with that, this concludes yet another episode of Teacup For One. Now, let me know in the comment section down below, what do you think of the trailer? And what do you think of this movie existing? Is it a movie that we need? What is your favorite part? What was your least favorite part? I don't have a specific question. Just tell me everything you think. And if you want to be the first to know when I release more videos talking about movies, musicals, Disney, Shakespeare, sometimes Funko Pops, rarely cats, but when I talk about cats, I'm very passionate about it. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And if you haven't subscribed yet, it is super easy. All you have to do is click on my face. Thanks for joining me today, everyone. My name is Matt, and I have 2 degrees, and that's the Teacup For One, and it's super fetch. Fetch habit.